The Gauteng police have urged citizens to desist from instilling fear in communities affected by gang violence. This follows reports that 13 people were killed in gang-affected areas last week alone. The police have revealed that there were in fact 3 deaths in Westbury, Sophia Town, and not 13. The facts currently don't, however, take away from the reality that the residents of Westbury, Riverlea, as well as Eldorado Park live in fear because gang-related violence is a norm in these communities. Joining us to discuss the issues plaguing these communities is Riverlea community activist Arlen Humphreys, Eldorado Park community activist Charis Pretorius, as well as Westbury community activist Jefferson Alisa Johnson. And we also have Gauteng Community Policing Forum's TJ Masilela, who's joining us via Skype. To all of you, thank you very much for joining us on The Full View.
Thank you so much for having us.
No, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Perhaps to start with you, Jefferson, specifically because we saw the police confirming that, in fact, there were 3 murders in Westbury this past weekend, not necessarily 13, but 3 most certainly still concerning. Just talk us through the issues there and even that disturbing video that we saw on social media.
Thanks, Nfundo, for having me. If I can just bring a bit of a twist to it. It's not exactly 3 people, but there's about 8 people that passed this weekend. So there was 1 person that passed on the Friday. And then we had the Sunday where there was 4 people that were shot in 2 different areas, in fact 2 different streets, one on Hay Avenue, close to the main road in Westbury, and the other on Statler and Pearl Court. So that was like minutes just apart from one another. And then we also had, the Monday was the holiday, the Tuesday, we had the deaths of 2 young men that were shot. One on the upper side of Westbury, close to Hay Avenue, and the one at the bottom in Westbury. And then the Wednesday, we also had another young man that was shot.
And all of these gang-related?
You know, like I said, unfortunately, for now, it's taken a complete different route because you can't see if these people are actually if it's gang-related, if it's drug-related, or even if because there's a whole lot of innocent people that's involved in it. So you can't really say it's gang-related.
So police, when they took out a statement, they issued that statement stating that it was 3. So they were not necessarily aware of the other 5, or it's because at this point the 3 were purely just gang-related violence?
No, I think that's to me personally that's an excuse, because I personally called the cops for more of the other deaths, the shootings that happened. So they need to confirm that, you know.
Charis, talk to us about the lived experience of residents in your community in particular, and perhaps you can give us a bit more clarity on that video that we've been seeing, because it seemed as though there was a young lady who was taking the video and even telling the person next to them to be careful, but everybody seemed to be going towards where they were hearing the gunshots.
And you see, that is the challenge. We have these videos, we have all of this happening, and then SABC, and I'm going to be blatant about it, has the audacity to tell us that we're getting the numbers wrong. You know, it is entirely a case of the stats that we feel because we're on the street on a daily basis, and what they perceive or what they would like to portray to the general public is where we really have these major discrepancies. And you know, a video like that is very disturbing. It adds to this trauma, number 1, but it also just it gets people to think that that's all we are, that's all colored people are about. And I think that is something that we need to start talking about. We need to start saying, you know what, we are more than guns, we are more than drugs, we are more than gangsterism, and we need to have that picture taken away from colored people holistically. And when it comes to who we are at the moment, is people living in fear. We have mums and families and little ones who are afraid to go outside into the yard, who can't play downstairs at the flats because they have to live on the ground, or on the floor rather, of their homes, and that is unacceptable. And you take these kinds of situations to SABC and then they tell us, oh no, it was only 3. It doesn't matter if it was only 1.
Yeah.
Coloured lives matter too, and that is the problem that we are facing.
And we had to honestly remove in that statement, we had to edit the statement because it said, in fact, there were only 3. But to say only 3 is quite worrying because each life matters.
Yeah, you know.
But what exactly is at the heart of the problem? Are the police visible in Riverlea, just in your community alone?
In Eldorado Park, we see them. But that is when the shift changes. that's when you see them. In Eldorado Park, you have to phone the police station to ensure that when you get there, there's going to be a van available. You'll be lucky if there is one. They'll tell you, yes, come up, and then you'll wait 2-3 hours. We have a police commissioner who refuses to deal with the people of Eldorado Park because he says he doesn't need to engage with the residents of Eldorado Park.
Why not?
Because he just feels that we're hampering him from doing his job. But as far as I'm concerned, he needs to engage with us in order for him to get a feel, because he doesn't live there. He gets into his car and he leaves. And we live there and we see what is happening on our streets. We experience it. You know, you have 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds who can't leave their homes, who can't go anywhere. You have little kids who are afraid. I mean, it's school holidays now. Our children have to stay inside because of a message that goes on to social media telling us that keep your 10-year-olds at home. So how does that makes it conducive for us to live harmoniously? And then you have police who say, oh yeah, no, we'll get to you eventually. I mean, how long does it take for them to come out when it has been reported that someone has been shot and killed?
We actually have reached out to the police. They've confirmed that they'll come onto the show tomorrow so we can address some of these issues that you actually are speaking of. But perhaps to bring it to you, Arlen, to the community of Riverlea in particular, perhaps talk us through your lived experience there. What are the issues and what exactly prevents perhaps it be the community policing forum to assist in some of these issues?
So that is the issue that we have in Riverlea, and we in Riverlea empathize with Eldorado Park and Westbury, but we are different. So our problem has been with the police station, the Ennerdale police station, getting them to be involved into the shootings that has happened. We've had to, as activists, and I'm speaking about the community activists, we've got Joe Davies, we've got Yolanda Lotz, Panishu Bear. These are the people that are the ones that have gone out and that have made a noise for the police to start looking at Riverlea, for the police to start coming into Riverlea. And we have not been successful in it. We have not been successful in it.
But is there an element of fear? Because we know that at times, even if there's a crime in Bizo, not many of the community members can come out to really share what happens in the community.
There is an element of fear. People are afraid to come forward to speak about it. People are afraid to be witnesses as well. And that is why we've also, in mandates that we've given over through to SABC, we've asked for them to re-look at how the witness protection is drafted, what out of their protocols into SABC's way of policing, that they re-look at witness protection in regards to this gangsterism, that they also look at outsourcing their forensics department as well, because they're in a backlog. We're saying to them, we're not just coming to complain. Outsource your forensic department to a private sector. Keep them liable via SL agreement so that we can have these forensics evidences as well involved in the for the prosecutors, so that we can have successful prosecutions. But we are unsuccessful in that.
Arlen, paint us a picture for just the ordinary citizen watching and listening to this conversation. On average, how many people lose their lives just in your community? Because if there's an effort to downplay the loss of life, then there's a problem. I mean, you know every day because you're working with many of these people.
There's been a lot of lives that has been lost. And look, on average, it could be maybe in a day 3 people that can be killed. Maybe in a week 5 people that has been killed. So I can't tell you like today it's going to be maybe 3 or 4 day average, no. But when the shooting does start, we've got innocent people that have died, that have gotten stray bullets. We've got our community members that have died. Whether you're a gangster or not, you're our community member. And these people are shooting and killing one another. Those are our community members that we grew up with in Riverlea, and they are dying. And we believe that there are people coming from outside Riverlea to come and do these shootings as well. So we as a community in Riverlea, we've got a ward committee as well. We've engaged with SABC. We've got community leaders that have engaged with SABC. We are waiting for as I heard Mr. Jefferson say that they've had a hierarchy of SABC that has come into Westbury, that have come into Eldorado Park to speak to them. We are still waiting in Riverlea for them to come and speak to us, for them to listen to what we have to say so we can work together.
Perhaps let's rope in TJ into the conversation. TJ, you've been working with the policing forum. Just talk us through some of the challenges that you're faced with.
I think any loss of life, whether it's 3 or 5 or 1, remains one too many. And we pay condolences to those departed souls. The biggest problem that we have, whether it's a gang-related, whether it's drug-related, we see this happening in certain areas, not necessarily looking at race and so forth, but we're living in a very violent society, and I can't put that together. Challenges that you would have is the intelligence that personally I don't think is at the level where you would want it. I think one of your speakers spoken about witness protection, the forensic and so forth. We have technology now. I know we are a third world country, but we have technology that can assist some of these processes. And I know that there's been talks and procurement of such. We're having a problem of unemployment that creates that space where you would then have a market which is then related to gangs, and that applies across the board. Yes, it might be seen in your, and that is because apartheid created us and have colored areas and so forth. But it's happening in all areas. It might happen too many often in those particular communities. Mm-hmm. But it's a problem that we're hoping now that we have now a recent government that must change some of these policies, some of the community policing. You can't have leaders who don't want to come to their communities, irrespective of whether these communities are black, white, green, or yellow. When the call is made, and maybe the approach is wrong to have imbizo and then have everybody on TV and so forth. Maybe certain areas need intelligence kind of gathering instead of having a big mature. And so we need to yeah.
It seems my panel is chuckling a bit. You seem to be not in agreement per se with what he's saying. Let's start with you, Charis, because he speaks about inadequate intelligence and the need for some of these conversations to be not publicized where we have a crime in Bizo, but perhaps it's one-on-one, something that is not, as I say, publicized. Is this not happening? Because many are saying community members know who the criminals are in most cases, but it becomes a trust issue. In who do you divulge this information to?
Absolutely. And that is exactly the issue. You're telling, TJ is talking about crime intelligence. Crime intelligence has been into our communities when, and has spoken to whom? We had camped outside of our police station for a year. We camped outside our police station, and we're still waiting for crime intelligence to come and see us. We had a problem with the National Commissioner coming to see us. He kept on delaying and delaying. Eldorado Park camped. We lived outside of our police station.
Reporting as you lived there.
So now TJ coming, I'm sorry to say it, but TJ is living in a fool's paradise when he thinks that it is not race related, because we beg to differ. And if you think that the stories that they tell us when it comes to who do we report to? We report to everybody because we follow the protocol. We start at the bottom and we work our way through the ranks, and no one really gives a damn. Mm-hmm. I spoke to the district commissioner on Saturday, and he said to me, "Oh, but those are not the numbers that I'm getting. Those are not the numbers that I'm getting." But now how do I tell a mother who phones me and says to me, "Charis, I don't know how to bury my child who was killed last weekend." When a mother says, "I don't know what must I do because SABC have said to me that, oh, was he a gangster? Did he sell drugs? Because if he didn't do any of those things, then we can't help you." Those are the things that our people are dealing with an ongoing basis. So TJ coming in here and talking to us about protocol and telling us that it's not race related and telling us that we need to look at what the cameras.
If you say it is race related, do you believe that not enough resources are allocated to these?
I would agree.
Predominantly coloured community?
Absolutely.
Is that what you're saying?
That is it.
Because we'll pose it to the SABC tomorrow. That will be the question we pose to them.
And then they're going to tell you about the 258 crime wardens that have been allocated to Eldorado Park and Riverlea and Westbury. How, when you are having a gun war, do you send people in who are unarmed Some of them have their own personal tasers that they have bought. And we've had all of these beautiful, wonderful things from Faith Mazibuka coming in and telling us about the cameras and this, that and the other. Who's going to man it? Who's going to be providing that information to SAPS? And how many prosecutions are we going to get from that information? And that is the question that we need to ask.
Jefferson, you're nodding in agreement that
100%.
it is racial, you believe?
I think for me personally, to a great extent, it's fairly racial. You know, let me say, we had the minister come into our area since the year 2018. The minister Beki Trele came last year, the very same thing, he was in our area. And we also had the whole conversation with regards to the intelligence that will be deployed to our area. Now, the dynamic to Riverlea, the dynamic to Ennerdale and so Westbury is completely different. Yes. You know, so the intelligence at this current moment, anti-gang has been deployed to our area. And it's sort of like a intelligence kind of move that they put there to be able to deal with the situations. However, as I said, the dynamic is completely different. So I had this conversation with one of the station commander, and I said to him, you know, I understand how the mind of our people operates and works. Now, we have posed this question. If you are speaking about resources, my good sir, then you need to look at the stuff that we speak about. We have a Facebook page that is alive right now, that is being posted. I think all of us will be posted on that Fascan page right now because of what we are doing. Standing up for our community. Now, we've had all the conversation with the minister, we've had all the conversation with our local police stations, we've had all the conversation with regards to the deployments of the intelligence to our areas. What is the intelligence doing it? Let me tell you how many of our cases since 2016 or 2015 to date has not been closed. Has not been closed. Sometimes they even work a thing in this sort of way. They take a case and they'll tell you they'll use a different department. They'll use a provincial level to deal with the case. Let me tell you what the provincial level does to the case. They mess it up more because there's no interest with regards to how important your life is and how important our lives is. That is why I'm saying it is absolutely racial at this current moment.
TJ, your response to that?
I don't think we understand each other. I'm not saying crime is directed at the racial lines. I'm saying there's crime across the board. I'm saying some of the gang violence is in the particular, like a different setup will be like where there are hostels. You will know that the Katoras area is full of hostels and Soweto and so forth. So I'm saying the crime doesn't know no color, and I also agree with the Riverlea activists to say the dynamics are different. Riverlea is more has lots of your illegal miners and zamazamas and so forth, and the guns and so forth that you would find if the law enforcement were to also close the supply and the need of those firearms. I'm saying in Westbury, we like he's correctly saying, we've been to Westbury ourselves. We walk, I think in April or so, we had pastors and so forth. We've spent time in Westbury, but obviously it's not working. It means we need to change the plan. When I started, I said the community policing has to change because the approach is not working in this certain area. So we need to adapt.
Perhaps talk us through your role specifically. Perhaps talk us through your role, what it is actually you do in these communities when you come in.
So we had few community without the ministers and so forth. Ourselves and the pastors in Westbury, we did that walk with the pastors, with the speaker of the city of Johannesburg, and we invited communities. It was well attended, but it's from time to time that you need to have that, not once when there's happenings of this nature, simply because we also have seen that. During those few weeks, it will become a little bit quiet, and then it starts. So you can't stop. It's a project that you cannot stop. Fighting crime, and in these communities, in our communities, it's a project that needs to continue for as long as humankind exists. But also talk about the issues of El Dorado Park, and I agree that the dynamics are also a little bit different compared to your Westbury, although related into such. My understanding and my humble appeal is that I don't think we are saying that those areas or those communities should not have resources. Actually, we should pump more resources. Policing should be in the democratic state
for years.
All right.
Should
It seems
attack
we've lost
those areas of where there's a crime. But how do you sustain that? It becomes a problem.
Alan, he's talking there about, in the main, the proliferation of guns, and that in Riverlea you have more of a unique problem as well with the Zamazamas. Just your views on how easily accessible guns have become, and whether police are doing enough to ensure that some of those guns are removed from the hands of the criminals.
Like I said, we have engaged with SABC as well. We had Becky clearly there when we had to shut down the community again, had to shut down the road to bring in SABC. Myself, activists like Bernice Dolly, Bernice Schubert, the RMF went to the executive mayor. From the executive mayor, we then got the collaboration from Metro Police as well as SABC to come in to sort out Zampilo, to get to the illegal mining and the Zamazamas that was shooting in that area, which was terrible as well. Through that, they did come in. We were promised that SANDF would come in. SANDF, we haven't really seen them. I think they've come maybe once or twice, but the Zamazamas are still there. They are still active there. They have come back. They are still there, and we want to again engage SABC to come in sort out what they promised that they will do in our area. So the access to weapons in Riverlea is very easy. And we're talking about high caliber weapons. We're talking about R1 rifles, AK-47s, that is found in Zamampilo squatter camp. So Riverlea has got, like TJ said, he is correct, we have got a high violence in our area coming from illegal mining, and then also in certain hotspot areas, we've got the gangsterism as well of the shootings that has occurred. We are engaging SABC. We have engaged Becky Taylor. We have engaged the executive mayor. We will continue engaging them. We will continue making a noise from Riverlea because we want Riverlea to be focused. We want what they have promised us because we deserve it. We deserve peace. We are South African citizens. We deserve to live in peace.
Ever so often when the minister and other officials would come into these communities, they would say that the solutions not only lie with them, but the communities where they have come to. Yes. That we live among some of these gangsters. They are our brothers, they are our friends, they are our neighbors. Do you find that many people are willing to assist the police in dealing with the crime in the area?
Now, this is a point that I myself has brought up with SABC Provincial, where we've asked them with regards to witness protection, because people do want to come forward, but their lives are at risk. So if somebody finds out that you are a witness in a particular case, you are targeted. You will lose your life. There's been police, I believe, investigating officers in Mr. Jefferson's area as well that have also been targeted and killed. So we have, like I said, we don't just complain to SABC. We've come with suggestions and we are still waiting for a reply on will SABC be able to upgrade, and protect the witnesses that are willing to come forward, but protect their lives. Protect their lives, or take them out of the area until the cases are done so that we get successful convictions. We are still waiting for replies.
Jefferson, you mentioned something very worrying, and unfortunately we had to rush to get TJ's response to what both of you were saying. You said that right now, as we're having these conversations, chances are fast guns, pardon me, could probably now have taken your pictures, images. Everybody knows that you guys are fighting for the citizens. How then are you protected?
Well,
We're not.
As I said, this is a page. It's named Fast Gun. So it's not necessarily the Fast Guns that posts on that.
Okay.
But there's a lot of anonymous people that will post there. So there's a whole lot, like I said, there's a whole lot of people that has passed based on the fact that they've been posted on that. And as I said earlier on, in February, I think it was the 11th of Feb, where we spoke to the commission, and I personally asked in front of a whole lot of people on television as well, saying that we are asking you, one, to investigate and see exactly what is happening. You get all the information, because I mean, like all these anonymous people that are posted on that, you speaking about resources, TJ, and that is exactly what I'm saying. The resources that you have to be able to see exactly to a cell phone, it's simple. How can you get that removed? Or how can you deal with the situation and do arrests to those people that are on that page?
But it starts with you as an activist. Have you reached out to the police to protect you?
At this current moment, let me say, I made a statement on one of the interviews earlier on over the weekend, and I said, you know, part of what we are sitting with at this current moment, you need to understand the dynamic of your community. And I've really come to understand, we've been there since 2015. It is now 2024, fighting the same demon. One, if the police can come in and bring in a program that we'd be able to run. At this current moment, I'm running my own peace program with young people to be able to try and help. But obviously, you know, just before, I'm going to mention the person's name, Keenan, before he died, we had a conversation, like we were running peace talks with him, and then 2 weeks prior to his death, he also phoned me to say, Pastor Jeff, can you like really come in and accelerate the process to the peace talk? Unfortunately, there was other parties that didn't come, you know, to agree to this. We sat with the police. Even now, recently, I went back and tried to speak to some of the gang leaders in our area to try and see. I've also engaged with other pastors to try and see if there's a possibility with SABC ourselves and in the community so that these people can come and do a pardon to our community because they're the people suffering. Now, as I speak about the dynamic of our communities as well, we have, if you speak about, you have Varado people that lost their children or Fazgan people that lost their children. So these people now hate one another.
Yes.
Yeah.
As opposed to you and I coming together and working and fighting the same process or fighting the same pain that was instilled to us. We now hate each other because of what has been happening to us. So it's a holistic thing that needs to be worked well. You know, there is a lot of young people that is unemployed. There is this the traffic ordinance that's deployed to our own areas, as you were speaking earlier on, without firearms.
Yeah.
They're also in danger because most of the
equally
job,
exposed.
Exactly, most of the work that they are doing is better than what SABC does.
Yes.
Do you understand? But their lives are in danger. They come from our area. So their lives are in danger. They're just doing their mere job. You know, but the people on the other side, they are looking at them and seeing them as a snitch. But, you know, we can't do that because it's their job.
Yes.
But that is how dangerous this, you know, if the government can just for once think and think the right way and what will be good for our people. You cannot make them walk around in the area without a firearm to stand against certain things.
Yes, Charis, your closing remarks?
Well, my closing remark is that SABC needs to come to the party. They need to stop treating us as gangsters and gun-wielding drug dealers, because that's not who we are. They need to actually come and listen to, not listen, no, don't listen. You've heard our cry. You know exactly what it is that we have been saying it for years. Stop having imbizos and coming and telling us what is it that you would like us to do, or what is the issue at hand. You know what the issue is at hand. Come with tangible, plausible solutions that will work, that will actually eliminate the deaths that we face on a daily basis. Because that is when we're facing it. And we're not just talking about Westbury, Riverlea and Eldorado Park. We're talking about Reiger Park. We're talking about the East Rand. We're talking about Ennerdale. We're talking about a country at the moment that is under siege, and there are coloured communities, and there are mothers crying every single day, and there are families burying their loved ones every single weekend. And there's no way that the government and the South African police services can come in here and tell us that they are not, that the numbers are incorrect, that it's only 3, when we know for a fact that it's a whole lot more, and they're trying to look good because what, it's the new dispensation. I beg to differ.
TJ, your last remarks?
We, like I've just mentioned, the approach should change. We need to have a different approach, craft new solutions. We have, I think it's about time also as that we raise this with the new administration. We need to change policing, the way how we approach the anti-gang unit. We need to review that unit. The illegal mining, we need to review those units. Are we seeing return on investment? Are we seeing crime stats coming down? Crime wardens, we need to all law enforcement, including the JMPDs, not just the SAPS. We need to include all of them as law enforcers and hold them accountable in making sure that our communities become and feel safe. It's not what we are saying, it's what the Constitution of the Republic says.
And then, Arlen, what would you like to tell the police in particular?
That Riverlea is still waiting for our imbizo. We are waiting to sit down with them. We are waiting for generals, not the politicians. We want the real generals, the real police to come and sit down with us and work on a strategy to reduce the crime, to reduce the shooting.
Thank you very much to all of you as a panel. Well, as stated, we will be having SABC tomorrow to just talk to us about some of these issues, and I think it was important that we start here with community members to have at least an account, first-hand account from you guys, what exactly you deal with on the ground, so that we pose some of these very important questions to SABC, coming from a place of knowing that if you're saying witness protection is what is needed. You cannot tell communities constantly that work with us as the police to find solutions to the crime. You need to deal with witness protection, because it seems people are willing to come out. It's just that they're fearful that when they come out, what happens to their lives if they're not going to be adequately protected. Thank you yet again to all of you.